Of G, I don't know.
So here, what I mean by this. So
What's
CCF, Disciples of Jesus, and Chuck Pike. I don't know what.
Could
They
you
have the
could
no
you
name, the
just
no name church?
kind of go over it all one more time?
All right.
Because
Yeah.
otherwise
So-
we're gonna get done with this and be like, that was great, and
So
then
my idea is,
Forget
this is the world, like Jason pointed out. We have Protestants that have impacted the world big time.
And Kevin, let's just put, because Catholicism really is a separate, so essentially, we have Protestants, we have Catholic, and
maybe
Orthodox.
Okay, stick that in there.
So, I don't know, we can,
Yeah,
we
that's
can
on
argue
that's
the
on
pie.
that side.
Yeah.
And they have their value at some level. But we want to introduce in the world another alternative, which is the historic faith, or the faith once delivered. So how are we going to do that? We have the historic faith that ultimately will be a method to influence what is the faith once delivered. We have sound faith, we have scroll publishing, we have the encounter, we have church writings that's feeding in and developing what is the historic faith, contributing to what is the faith once delivered. So this is all important and valuable to influence the world, everyone in the world, right? But without churches that is healthy church communities, you can teach the right thing, you can write books, but if you don't have churches where people can come, see, and taste, it's why people's willing to move. And I actually think, I don't know, I think we need to work that out. I'm not against people moving, because I think it's really, really hard to do that yourself. If you already have a church and you have people willing to come on board, that's one thing. But I think there's a lot of individuals out there, they would like to start a church, but who are they going to start a church is? My point is, we have to have communities sticking around that's living this out, and then this will even, I think, speed up the influence of that it'll be multipliers if we can produce that. And that's where we're a little thin.
Yeah, I'd like to add to that the method that the historic faith is going to use to have representation in the future on the internet is through teacher development and creating somewhat of a hub for all of these people to feed content into, because basically this up here, making this impact up here, is hundreds of thousands of hours of writing and videos of content. Like, this only happens through content creation,
Right.
with
Yes.
teachers. And so here we're
Influence
developing the
happens, yeah.
teachers so that they can be creating the content and creating using the historic faith to become a hub where the people who are living out these communities to post their videos, which adds to the content. And then we take the people who really excel in the teacher development become people who create courses for the historic faith, which adds to the content. And so it's like a content creation system, basically, with the teaching that we want.
yeah. And this is not a top-down hierarchy for church. This the top again is the globe, the world, and how whenever you go online, you see what you see on the internet, YouTube, Google searches is almost all Protestant right now, and we want to make that where, like they said, a choice between Protestant and the historic faith, and the core is those churches having teachers to be able to present these things, to make content for the historic faith, so we can have an online presence that when you search it, there's always an us and them kind of thing going on, where there's a choice of Christianity. There's not, because it's really hard to find the faith that was once delivered. We almost only can find what was 1,500 years and later, or whatever. What else, Dale?
Okay, so I'd like to take this and create just a slightly different version of this. because we're getting hung up on this. So I'm gonna make my circle a little bit smaller,
If you
and
need this, that's kind of getting dried up.
okay, I'll make my, let's just start over here a second. So let's go back to this basic idea that Kevin started with. So we have our world, and let's be a little less ambitious, and here's historic faith, here's Orthodoxy, here's Catholics, and here's Protestant and Orthodox, and we're talking about THF. Now, essentially, what we have is we have churches who are a part of this world, congregations all over the world who are subscribing to this worldview. And so, you have in the Protestant world, we have Pentecostal, we have Presbyterian, we have Baptists, we have Methodists, we have
Joel Osteen, whatever the heck he is.
yeah, whatever.
Lutheran.
Yeah, and so we all have, because we have community. This is part of this community. This concept is the community that surrounds and pulls from this. This is 2D. There's a third dimension to this, and that is what feeds into this community. And that's what we're trying to create. And that's why we're saying churches draw from this, because really, you think about these churches, they draw from the Protestant ideology. We draw from the historic faith. What we want to do now is create this circle and feed back into this world. We want to get this bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So we have to do what you're saying, that the congregations that are part of this ecosystem are now producing. They're producing and they're feeding back. It's photosynthesis. We're taking the sunlight coming from here. We're creating results and lives and teaching that keeps this going as a
Right now, we're basically like
Yeah.
this.
we're like this
That's
whole
what I
sliver.
wanted to do right there.
Right.
The reality is we look like that.
that.
Yeah.
And we want to widen this thing out.
And we need to do that for the presentation.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is why no one knows about it,
Yeah.
because we're basically one line.
Right. We're a
In
line.
the
We
sea.
don't even have two lines.
God can't see us.
No, when you look at the math, we about can.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you
God
know how
can't
many
see us.
hundreds of millions of dollars go into this every year? Like
One
and we have
question, I really like this, Dale. That was brilliant, adding the churches are what influence that.
This is community.
And this is, wouldn't this be 90% Anabaptist? I mean, the historic
Yeah,
faith is
yeah.
just not much bigger than that, is it? Like, what other groups out there outside
there's a
of that?
few random groups. There's that one old Calvinist group that has changed, and they all
But it's
they're,
like minimal.
they're not Calvinist.
So
Yeah, they're
the value. So what the other thing that what this was going to do. So you have your little kingdom churches and all this that's afraid of traditions and all that. Then you have all the traditional churches that
Oh, yeah.
love tradition. This has the potential to influence both groups, bring them on
Right.
board, and help the traditional ones that they can understand.
Yeah.
That on video, but what your brother said. Don't send that out. But like how to help those kind of people to actually give them answers.
Right.
Um,
Right. But it's
You
what
can
we're
turn
what
it
we're
off.
saying.